जय श्री गुरु परंपरा की जय सद्गुरु स्वामी की जय प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंज गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा मैया की जय भक्ति देवी की जय महारानी की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी सुदर्शन की जय श्री राधा माधव की जय जय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल और बोली जैसे बोली और बोली जैसे बोली और बोली तो श्री गुरु और गौरंग का और बोली श्री तो
हरे कृष्ण अनेवरु पादुपुर नलवार भाग अनेवरु श्री नरसिंहाष्टोत्तर स्तनमर्चनी सर्वे सर्कुला मधुजन मोडल आरसिद्धि परमले भगवान श्री कला नरसिंहगुरु नमस्कार प्रार्थना ओम अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय नरसिंह श्री नरसिंह जय जय श्री नरसिंहदेव प्रहलादेश जय पद्मा मुख पद्मा गंगा उग्रं वीरं महाविष्णुं जलंधं सर्वतोमुखं नरसिंहं द्विजनं भद्रं मृत्युर्नमाम्यहम् ओम नरसिंहाय नमः ओम महासिंहाय नमः ओम दिव्यसिंहाय नमः ओम महाबलाय नमः ओम उग्रसिंहाय नमः ओम महादेवाय नमः ओम संपदाय नमः ओम प्रलोचनाय नमः ओम रौद्राय नमः ओम सर्वभूताय नमः ओम श्रीमनाय नमः ओम योगानंदाय नमः ओम त्रिविक्रमाय नमः ओम हरिणे नमः ओम कोलाहलाय नमः ओम शक्तिने नमः ओम जयाय नमः ओम जयवर्धनाय नमः ओम अज्ञानाय नमः ओम परब्रह्माय नमः ओम अघोराय नमः ओम घोरविक्रमाय नमः ओम जलायुवाय नमः ओम जलामानने नमः ओम महाजलाय नमः ओम महाब्रह्मवाय नमः ओम निधिलक्षाय नमः ओम सहस्राक्षाय नमः ओम सुनिरीक्षाय नमः ओम प्रतापनाय नमः ओम महादहस्ताय नमः ओम निरप्रज्ञाय नमः ओम संतकोटिने नमः ओम सदाशिवाय नमः ओम हिरण्यकशिपुतंसिने नमः ओम दैत्यताण्डवभञ्जनाय नमः ओम गुणभद्राय नमः ओम महाभद्राय नमः ओम बलभद्राय नमः ओम सुभद्रकाय नमः ओम कर्णाय नमः ओम विकर्णाय नमः ओम विकटाय नमः ओम सर्वसात्विकाय नमः ओम शिशुपालाय नमः ओम शिवोपात्माय नमः ओम ईशाय नमः ओम सर्वेश्वराय नमः ओम गुराय नमः ओम परिवरतराय नमः ओम दिव्याय नमः ओम अच्युताय नमः ओम कालिने नमः ओम माधवाय नमः ओम अदोषिताय नमः ओम अक्षराय नमः ओम सत्वाय नमः ओम वनमालिने नमः ओम परप्रदाय नमः ओम विश्वम्भराय नमः ओम अद्भुताय नमः ओम भाव्याय नमः ओम श्री विष्णुवे नमः ओम पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ओम अनगस्त्राय नमः। ओम नगस्त्राय नमः। ओम सूर्यज्योतिने नमः। ओम सुरेश्वराय नमः। ओम सहस्रबाहुवाय नमः। ओम सर्वज्ञाय नमः। ओम सर्वसिद्धिप्रदायकाय नमः। ओम अजदंशाय नमः। ओम वज्रनगाय नमः। ओम महानंदाय नमः। ओम परंतपाय नमः। ओम सर्वमंत्रेतरूपाय नमः। ओम सर्वयंत्रविदारणाय नमः। ओम सर्वतंत्रात्मकाय नमः। ओम अव्यक्ताय नमः। ओम सुव्यक्ताय नमः। ओम भक्तवत्सलाय नमः। ओम महिषासुक्लभुजोत्ताय नमः। ओम शरणागतवत्सलाय नमः। ओम उदारकीर्तिने नमः। ओम पुण्यात्माय नमः। ओम महात्माय नमः। ओम चंद्रविक्रमाय नमः। ओम वेदात्र्याय नमः। ओम प्रभुज्याय नमः। ओम भगवानाय नमः। ओम परमेश्वराय नमः। ओम श्रीवत्संगाय नमः। ओम जगत्व्यापिने नमः। ओम जगन्मायाय नमः। ओम जगत्पालाय नमः। ओम जगन्नाथाय नमः। ओम महाकाय नमः। ओम दिव्यरूपप्रदाय नमः। ओम परमात्माय नमः। ओम परज्योतिने नमः। ओम निर्गुणाय नमः। ओम निर्विशेषे नमः। ओम परतत्वाय नमः। ओम परधामाय नमः। ओम सच्चिदानंद विग्रहाय नमः। ओम लक्ष्मी नरसिंहाय नमः। ओम सर्वात्माय नमः। ओम वीराय नमः। ओम प्रहलादपालकाय नमः। ओम उग्रं वीरं महाविष्णुं चलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नरसिंहं बीजनं तत्रं मृत्युर्नमाम्यहम्। जय नरसिंह श्री नरसिंह जय जय श्री नरसिंहदेव। प्रहलादेश जया पद्मा मुखपद्मा गंगा। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रहलादनाददायिने शरण्याकाशे भूर्वशः श्रीरङ्गानकालये श्रीदो नरसिंहा वरदो नरसिंहा यदो यदो यामि तदो नरसिंहा पदे नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहामणि चरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलभरे नः अच्युतशृङ्गा ललिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुवृन्दा जय केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय हरीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे। श्री भगवान की श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महाराज की श्री गौर सुंदर की ओम कृष्ण भगवान की। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
Hare Hare Krishna. Can you hear?
Hare Krishna. Yes, madam.
Can you hear?
Yes, madam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. I have been asked to set the mood and the trend for, I shouldn't say trend, set the mood for Ramachandra's appearance day that is coming. So we are going to do a little reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam to do with Lord Ramachandra's pastimes. It is indeed a great opportunity for us to do that. So I'm just going to give today an overview, and I think in the succeeding days, there'll be more readings and recitals, everything. I will just start with Canto 9, Chapter 10 from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we can try to reflect and recollect on some of these wonderful pastimes of the Lord. I'm sure that all of you are very, very familiar with Ramayana. I know in South India there are many renditions of Ramayana being rendered everywhere, and they speak very beautifully in the local language, and it is very sweet to hear. So we will anyway read from the Srimad Bhagavatam. We have the double effect of having the pastime of Lord Ramachandra and also getting credit for having Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, reading the Bhagavatam every day. Text 1, Sri Shuka Vacha Katvanga Dirga Bahuscha Ragustasmat Pritushabah Ajastato Maharajastasmat Dasharato Abhavat. Shukadeva Goswami said the son of Maharaja Katvanga was Dirga Bahu, and his son was the celebrated Maharaja Raghu. From Maharaja Raghu came Aja, and from Aja was born the great personality Maharaja Dasharatha. So Prabhupada speaks about two types of dynasties, the moon dynasty and the sun, the Surya Vamsa and the Chandra Vamsha. So Lord Ramachandra appeared in the Surya Vamsha, and Krishna is supposed to appear in the Chandra Vamsha, in the moon dynasty. So here is the lineage, how Lord Ramachandra appeared. He was the son of Maharaja Dasharatha, and before that was Aja, and then Raghu, due to which reason Raghuvamsham, Raghunath, like that. There are other names of Lord Ramachandra also. And then there is a famous Maharaja Katvanga who is mentioned here. Maharaja Katvanga is that great, wonderful personality whom even the demigods utilized for fighting wars. And he is known to be that person who enacted the wonderful pastime of getting to know how much time he has left. After fighting for the demigods, they asked him, "You want any boon? We are happy to give you." And then he was asked how much time, he asked, "How much time do I left?" They said, "One muhurta you have." Immediately he started doing devotional service, chanting the name of the Lord, worshiping within that muhurta, and went back to Godhead. A very smart person. So that was Katvanga Maharaj, and it is Katvanga Maharaj's lineage in which King Dasharatha appeared, and his son was Ramachandra. So Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Maharaj Dasharatha, I'll speak a little bit to set the background about these very famous characters. One is Maharaj Dasharath. His son is Lord Ramachandra. Then we will start speaking about Lord Ramachandra throughout. But we need to speak something about Maharaj Dasharath in order to understand the setting. And also about the very famous personality called Ravana. And then we shall get down inside. Ramayana is a wonderful, beautiful, amazing literature, very famous, very moving, highly emotional, filled with the different types of relationships being tested, nurtured, enjoyed, and successfully executed in this world. So by reading the Ramayana, you understand that even when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, life is really not so rosy like what we think. We will need more of that. A realistic understanding of who we are and what life is what we can understand from the Ramayana. What we should expect in life, what should be the goal of life. Until we get the goal of life, what should we go through? What should we expect? Is a wonderful lesson. In fact, we can have many, many lessons from the Ramayana. Sometimes I do leadership lessons from the Ramayana, and life lessons from the Ramayana for anybody, even the common folk, the best of leaders, household people, mothers, parents, guru, sishya, sons, daughters, wives, queens, you name it, for all sorts of personalities. There are wonderful lessons to be learned from the Ramayana. Amazing is the word. What a beautiful story, and so practical, so realistic, and at the same time uh, teaching us many things about how we should live in this world, what we should aspire for, what we should expect, etc., etc. And more than anything is the scintillating character of Lord Ramachandra, an ideal character of a personality in this material world. It is so realistic, at the same time so idealistic, that Ramanujacharya mentioned that since Lord Ramachandra is able to perform his duties and keep up his relationships as a husband, as a son, as a prince, as a king, as uh, as a human being, and many things he's doing, everything he's doing so perfectly, which is normally some people will think is impractically. I mean, it's impractical because nobody can do like that. It's not to be considered impractical, but when the Lord comes, so he can definitely do it because he has the powers of Bhagavan. But the point here is whether you do it perfectly or not, there's an ideal, there is a benchmark, there is a standard that everybody can move towards in terms of human duties. So Ramanujacharya said that the fact that he is doing everything so perfectly, he must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The converse of that is the fact that he is doing everything so perfectly, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nothing wrong if I am a little imperfect in that, because I am not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I don't have to try for that type of perfection, which means, doesn't mean that I give up. It means that I will anyway try. And I may not reach that level of perfection, but I will be satisfied that I gave it a good try and I did everything that's possible according to God's laws and his instructions. And I'm satisfied. I gave it all that I have. It cannot get better than that. Nothing gets better than that. That type of understanding and conviction that we have, then we would very well achieve the shelter of Lord Ramachandra, because he is very kind, very merciful, and he knows practically how much is possible for a conditioned soul. The point is not the performance, the point is Bhavagrahi Janardana. What is your intention? What is your internal pulse? What do you feel in your service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So these are wonderful, sweet things we can get to know. So here it's mentioned about Maharaj Dasharath. Maharaj Dasharath has got a history of being another great fighter and a Kshatriya of great repute. And the Devas also enlisted him for fighting. I won't go into those details, Shambhala and all of that, Shambhara. So he got the title Dasharatha, Dasharath, because he will simultaneously on his chariot fight in 10 directions. He's so good. He can spring and go to all these directions. And he fought even for the demigods would invite him and choose him. It's not like, those days I spoke to you about Maharaj Katwanga also did that. Uh, Lord, Maharaj Dasharath also offered himself to fight because they were sportive and they wanted to fight and they want to be in good form, and that's a spirit of a Kshatriya. Noblemen always fighting only on the side of moral, ethical good, and always taking sides only the sake of humanity's welfare, not doing anything against the Vedic literature. So these are all noble Kshatriyas. You can't just call them mercenaries who lend themselves and they're fighting. That is low level. This is very noble. Mercenaries will go anywhere they get to fight if they get money and get some material requirements. That's low class compared to noble Kshatriyas. Noble Kshatriyas will always defend Dharma, will always defend God's words. And wherever defense of Dharma is required, even if it is in the heavenly planets, and if I'm able to capable of doing it, I'll go. Because it is to protect Dharma. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. I am a king. My duty is to protect Dharma. If I can extend myself into another zone of the demigods, heavenly kingdom, and help them also to protect Dharma, I should be very happy to do it, because it is about all keeping up the word of God, the laws of God, keeping it in place. So he was willing. So that was his prowess. And Dasharath Maharaj, you know that he had prominently three wives. Actually, he had more than three wives. It is mentioned in the Puranas and places and references, everything. There are 353 wives. And 350 wives he had because every time Parashurama came to, Parashurama out of anger, the way the Kshatriyas were behaving and the way they were ruling, because it was Kshatriyas' time and it was not being done properly, he became very angry with the Kshatriyas. The famous story of Kartya Virya Arjuna, whom he slaughtered and killed because he had come and stolen the Kamadhenu from his father's ashram. Jamadagni was his father. And he was ferocious. He, with his mace Parashu, he roamed the whole globe. And Kshatriyas were very afraid of all the kings also. Any king who was not performing properly, he would wage a war and finish him and reinstall. So that was the Shakti Avesh avatar of the Lord. So, but one thing about Parashurama is if a Kshatriya king is with a woman, he will not attack him. If he is in marriage, he will not attack the kingdom. So knowing this, Dasharath, every time he knew Parashurama is coming, he would have a marriage. He would have, because he didn't want to confront Parashuram at all. But amazingly, in his time, when Ramachandra marries Sita and is coming back home to Ayodhya, at that time he will encounter Parashurama. That you will see that in the Ramayana, a very beautiful instance. That same Parashurama whom Dasharath avoided so much out of fear, that he 350 times when he heard this, he arranged a marriage and got married. So he had 350 wives who were all marriage ceremony people, marriage ceremony products, simply because of being afraid of Parashurama. So Parashurama would refrain from attacking Dasharath. But now, when you will read that he had to encounter Parashurama again. And at that time, Parashurama stands in between and presents the bow and said, if you can tie the string on this bow, I'll believe that you are the great Rama. You are fit to be so and so, so and so. Then, Dasharath will intervene and say, no, he's just a small boy. He's always protecting. He was 25 years old then, Ramachandra. When he married Sita, he was 25. When he left home, he was about 12 years old. He left home with Vishwamitra and he's coming back to home after 12, 13 years. So, but still Dasharath always thinks he's my child. 25-year-old man, he is, got married just now. Still Dasharath was saying, no, I will fight with you. Don't ask my. Then Parashurama will say, you have no quality to fight with me. because he knows that you got married 350 times. Every time they came to attack you. I don't want to fight a coward like you. I have nothing to do with you. I want to, this boy, I've heard about him, I know about him. That's the person I want to fight, not with you. You insult King Dasharath. So his connection with Parashurama will also come at that time. And of course, Lord Ramachandra will successfully string the bow, and then he will tell Parashurama, I've already strung the bow and I've already put the arrow on it. It cannot just go like that. It has to. And then Parashurama will know that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Two avatars meeting together is a very interesting and a lot of interesting event. A lot of conclusions have been drawn from it. Anyway, and then he will subdue Parashurama and Parashurama will disappear for good. He was waiting for this to happen. So this is an encounter with Parashurama. So Dasharath has 353 wives, actually speaking. Kaikai, Kaushalya, and the famous trio whom we hear about a lot, quite often. They are all personalities who are very, very known to be virtuous, wonderful personalities, not just ordinary human beings. Here we are dealing with all these great personalities who are powerful. So you will see that Lord Ramachandra, he interacted with all of them. And the sweet pastimes of Lord Ramachandra with his father, with his different mothers. And you know that he suffered a lot, obviously, apparently, because of the activities of Kaikai. But that also is very sweetly, nicely, wonderfully handled by Ramachandra. And you will be able to, if you have read the Ramayana, which most people have done, you recollect that instance also very well. So this is King Dasharath, and the four sons born to him from that we will recollect on the Ramayana and the Ramnavami day, his birth and what happened, everything. So I'm not going into the details. And how he got a boon because he did not have a son, and he was very, 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 very sad and was haunting him, and then he got a son. And they were actually Vasudeva, Sankarshna, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, the Chaturvyuha incarnations. And Vasudeva came as Ramachandra, Sankarshna came as Lakshmana, like that. And you have all the four Chaturvyuha incarnations as Ramachandra, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna. These are great, wonderful incarnations of the Lord. So all of them were very powerful, Chaturvyuha expansions. The Lord Krishna, the first expansion is Balarama. From Balarama comes the first Chaturvyuha. From the first Chaturvyuha, Sankarshna, comes the second Chaturvyuha. From the second Chaturvyuha, Sankarshna, come the three Vishnus who penetrate this material world. Vishnus to Trini Rupani. In this way, we can understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Sankarshna, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, they appeared as the sons of Maharaj Dasharath out of his three wives. And that story we'll recollect later. But this is how Ramachandra appeared to Maharaj Dasharath, and he was very, very dear. But before I say that, I like to also hear overview, because we'll be reading Ramayana now for the next days. Overview about how Ramayana came into being. What is Ramayana, etc. Ramayana is listed as a itihasa. Itihasa. Like this, it happened. History. I wish that sometime we would have time to go through the Ramayana bit by bit. It's so sweet. It's wonderful story, full of, emotions and feelings and everything, and full of human interaction, how to do that. So I want to recollect, Ramayana has got 24,000 verses, 7 khandas: Balakanda, Ayodhya Khanda, Aranya Khanda, Kishkinda Khanda, then Sundara Kandam, Yuddha Kandam, and Uttara Kandam. You will see this is the chapters of the 7 chapters. And I heard there's got 7 khandas, and about 654 chapters is what some people say. Some people say it's 500 chapters. I don't know. Valmiki Ramayana originally, as it's mentioned, 654 chapters. So we also know that Valmiki Muni also has got a background. He became Valmiki Muni, and he's a very significant person. Very wonderful, significant person. Although born in a Brahmin family and well-to-do cultured family, because of bad association, he fell down and became a dacoit. His name was Ratnakar. And, Ratnakar was a deadly dacoit. We hear these type of stories often, that people in nice Brahmin families become the worst people. And they become deadly when they become corrupted. Even when they die, they become Brahma Rakshasas. Even as ghosts, they're horrible. Sometimes untimely death, they become Rakshasas. The Brahma Rakshasa is deadly ghost. And if they get corrupted with bad association, they also become deadly, because all the Brahminical tejas and power gets utilized in the wrong direction. And we are going to hear the story of such a person. Born in a Brahmana family also, out of Rakshashi, is Ravana. His father is a Brahmana. So we'll hear about that. So the point is that when Brahmana has become corrupted, you will get so many times multiplied misery. Jagai and Madhai in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, Brahmin family became Jagai and Madhai. Ravana, Brahmin family. So here Ratnakar also, very cultured person with bad association. So they become significant when they become villains and demons, that's what happened with Ratnakar, and he was a deadly dacoit. He spared nobody. He would kill, he would, take away everything. And he encountered the beautiful, wonderful Narada Muni. So these encounters are very sweet with a very saintly Narada Muni. Extremely powerful, influential, and capable of inducing anybody to take Krishna consciousness. Meets with Ratnakar. Similarly, like we have Mrigari Hunter, he also met and transformed him. So whenever Narada Muni meets, whomever he meets, he will leave behind a legacy of devotional service with that person. So here in this meeting, Ratnakar obviously is also an intelligent person, corrupted intelligence. So he threw this at Ratnakar. Okay, fine. You're doing all these things, killing, this thing, all that. One question I want to ask you before you want to kill me, or you want to do what you want with me. Because it's a saintly man, Ratnakar paid some credence to him. He said, go home and find out whether they're willing to share the karma of your sinful activity, because it's going to eat you up. He said, of course, I'm doing it for my family only, for my well-being and for my livelihood only. I have no other purpose. I love my family members. I love my wife. I love my children. I love my parents. He said, no, go and ask them whether they're willing to share. He said, what are you challenging me like that? He thought, anyway, you're a saintly man. So he went home and asked his wife, his children, his parents, others. Not one person said, yes, I'll share the karma. Even the wife who's supposed to be Nari, she also said, I have nothing to do with sharing your karma. He got shocked. He got very shocked. I'm doing all these things for you people and you won't share in the karma. This is how household life is. People want only the sense gratification from you, your money, your hard work and this thing from your rest of the things, see you, this is material life. And Ratnakar came back to his proper understanding. He came to Narada Muni very sad and said, they said they won't share. In this way, he awakened his thinking, unlocked his intelligence, and told him, my dear Ratnakar, you are like this, like this. And he initiated him into chanting the name of Rama. But he was so polluted, he had become so low class that he could not chant the name of Rama. So Narada Muni told him, chant Mara. You know this tree? You know that this thing? Like that he explained and said, Mara. Mara, 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 like that. He got to chant Rama, reverse. And he started chanting. He became very, very, very advanced, slowly, 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 slowly. He just sat there and chanted, forgot his family, forgot his profession, forgot everything. Was totally floored by Narada Muni's intelligence and his revival, and he accepted him as Guru. He chanted Mara, and the whole anthill completely covered him. He didn't move. He was just chanting and absorbing himself. So the holy name purified this person so wonderfully. It's a beautiful story that we can explain for a long time, but I'm cutting it short. And a whole anthill covered him. And the only sound you could hear in that place was Ram, 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 Ram. And he was enjoying it, you know, because the word Rama is very sweet. So Narada Muni came to meet him again. And he saw this big anthill and he knew this is my dear Ratnakara. And he sprinkled water from his kamandalu. And Ratnakar rose from that anthill. And he met his spiritual master. He was so happy. How he has saved me by giving me the holy name, saved me from a hellish situation, hellish life that I was leading. So he was extremely grateful. And Narada Muni gave him the title, because you came out of the anthill, you'll be called Valmiki Muni. You're such a great saint. And people will talk about you in the future. There are many things you are there to do. In this way, Valmiki is history of that type. But at the same time, it is the same Narada Muni who also speaks the Ramayana to Valmiki. The same Valmiki who had been cultured to this level, from a dacoit to a great Muni, completely purified. What a beautiful story. The association of devotees does so many wonderful things to everybody. The whole world needs more and more and more and more devotees who in their heart desire nothing else but serving Krishna. And by their contact, everybody will become a devotee. There is no doubt, it's magic. And Krishna operates through his devotees. So the evolution of Ratnakar to be Valmiki Muni is very interesting. It is a story of a soul who is fallen down to such low levels and who has the greatest of hope if he associates with the devotee. Association is so important. How pure devotees of the Lord can completely change your life upside down for the good, inside out for the good. And people have to learn to appreciate the association. So here Valmiki Muni was fully appreciating the association of Narada Muni and the transformation he went through and the enjoyment and happiness he was going through. So in Valmiki Muni's instance, we can understand, of course, it looks a little magical and, what do you call, mystical and fairy tale-ish. It's not, it's actually happened like that. There's nothing greatly unbelievable in this. It's not something that, we're talking about a one-eyed ogre or a demon or somebody like that whom we don't find around here. So Valmiki Muni's history of him becoming qualified then to hear the Ramayana. That's another beautiful thing that happens. You see, he speaks the Ramayana to him very nicely because Valmiki Muni, he is asking to Narada Muni, who is the best individual? Who is the best of hero, greatest of qualities he has? Fortitude, courage, kindness, magnanimity, uh, wisdom, all these qualities. Who has? And then Narada Muni went into a trance thinking about Ramachandra as the only person who fits that qualification. And then he described to him Ramachandra, his qualities, his this thing, everything, and the whole story of Ramayana. So Valmiki's question was answered, one question was answered by the whole recital of the Ramayana by Narada Muni, Lord Ramachandra's pastimes. And Valmiki became very, very pleased, and his heart was full and overflowing with love for Lord Rama, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can imagine he was a dacoit, killing people and taking away their goodies, taking it home. And now he has become so sensitive and fine that he hears the Ramayana, he hears Lord Ramachandra's pastime, his heart becomes full and he's very happy. And then Narada Muni disappears. Then he goes to the Tamasa river to take his bath. He's got his ashram, he's got his disciples, Bharadwaja and all of them. And they all accompany him also on his, goes to take his bath. But he was very thoughtful, thinking about what Narada Muni had mentioned. So he goes to take his bath, and he, before taking his bath, he is thinking about all that he heard from Narada Muni, and he's appreciating the beautiful atmosphere. You know, when you have Krishna in your heart, when you have Krishna in your consciousness, everything looks different. The whole world looks different. It looks very beautiful because you're seeing Krishna's creation. You see everything connected with Krishna. It's so beautiful. So he observed the beautiful landscape, the mountains, the hills, the beautiful river, and the birds, the trees, and all of that. And he appreciated how beautiful it is here. It's, after hearing Ramachandra's glories. So he was in a very nice high level of consciousness. Then, boom, rapidly, he was brought to see on the horizon, on the bank, a deadly looking hunter. A fierce looking hunter aiming his arrow at a croucher bird. And the croucher bird was mating with his partner. And since they're mating, they were completely absorbed and they were an easy target, like you say, a sitting duck. And because you're so absorbed, I have seen here in our compound in Coimbatore, in these early days, there were snakes. And so a mating of snake right in the morning, around 10 o'clock. I took pictures of that. The snake stood 4 feet, 5 feet, all entwined like this, both of them together. It was an amazing scene. And they were an easy target. I could have, thrown something, caught them, and they could have done anything. The crownshire birds were absorbed. They were mating. And this hunter said, this is the time to get you. And he aimed the arrow, and Valmiki could see that, wow, what's he doing? He's killing that bird. Such a beautiful setting, so many nice things going on, and this horrible thing he observed. Everything has got a purpose. In this beautiful setting, how is this happening? All of a sudden, he sees a hunter. It is coming into view for him. And he becomes conscious of it and he focuses on it and he sees that crownshire bird fall down. Blood. Arrow pierces his chest. And he has a surge of an emotion, of anger and feeling. Very famously, he recites a shloka which became very famous. See, yet croucher mithunadike manava What is that? Yat krauncha mutuna dek dekhe mavati kama mohitam. Manishada pratishtham tvagamaha saswataha samaha. He is saying, getting angry with the Nishada, with the hunter, and shouting at him. But at the same time, what he's talking comes out very poetically. So there has been a lot of discussion about this poetic format that came out of his mouth, right? Yat krauncha mituna dekamavadihi kama mohitam. That, see, the krauncha bird is a bird that will never mate with anybody else but its partner throughout his life. Like a pativrata, chaste. If the krauncha bird's partner dies, he will live alone. She or she will be alone and never associate with anybody else throughout life till it dies. Such a very interesting bird. So therefore, he felt these things about that. And that time, this poetic composition came out of his mouth. And utterance amazed him itself. At the same time, he felt that why did I overreact to some bird getting hunter killings going on in the forest road? Why did I overreact to this all of a sudden? And why did these beautiful words come out of my mouth? And then immediately all the other disciples, some of them all heard him say that, oh, wonderful. And they started repeating that composition. They also started saying, Yat krauncha, mituna, and they, so it was running in his mind, and he took his bath and then he returned to his ashram. So what is happening? I got a feeling that he is hurting that bird and killing. But why did I feel this, and why did this thing come out of something is up? He knew, hurting words, and that arrow that was spread by that hunter. I've got a parallel. In my younger days, I know I used to write a saying that a spoken word and a sped arrow both cannot be taken back. If you release the arrow from your bow, you can't say, oh, I'm sorry, come back. Gone. You'll find its target. Same way, if you speak a word, gone. It's gone into the atmosphere. People hear it, and it's vibrated already. So one must be very careful about shooting an arrow and speaking a word. Well thought out it should be. That's the parallel here. And Valmiki Muni is wondering, how did I speak this poetic stuff from my mouth? Why did I get angry with that hunter? What have I got to do with these things anyway? While he was wondering these things and going back home, Brahma visited him. Everything has got a plan. And Valmiki Muni was saying everything is unfolding, but there's a greater plan unfolding, that he was a dacoit and he has been reformed by Narada Muni. He has been spoken Ramayana by Narada Muni and prepared with love for Ramayana, and here comes Brahma. And he asked Brahma, what is all this happening? Why am I very pensive and thoughtful about all these things happening to me? All these things happen to me. Brahma said, it's all happening because I'm making it happen. Because you are the chosen person to write the story of Lord Ramachandra. And this is the beginning. Your utterance of this beautiful verse is the beginning. So you can do it. Everything will come to you. You should start writing the story of Ramachandra. So Valmiki then sort of understood, then it is an order coming from Brahma. My guru's guru, or rather my guru's father, who is also guru's guru, very powerful person, has come to my place, and I've been ordered, I must carry it out. That's when, with the help of his disciples and assistants, he started writing the Ramayana. He relished it so much. And amazing verses came out of it. This 24,000 verses in 7 khandas and 654 chapters came out of Valmiki Muni. This is the history of the Ramayana writing. I'm just recollecting all these things briefly. Then I'll close up for today after speaking a few words about Ravana. I know that we discussed earlier that Dasharath, and now we also discussed Valmiki Muni and the appearance of Ramayana. Now I'd like to say a few words about the famous Ravana. He's one a very interesting character. As much as Lord Ramachandra is very interesting on the other side, sometimes what we should not do also is very interesting for us to understand. What we should do, how we should carry ourselves is Ramachandra. What we should not do is Ravana. And you will see many things that Ravana do. Successful people in this world do. And they are glorified for their success. It's very amazing. What Ravana does is what many people advocate and do in the world today. It's very subtle. You have to carefully understand it, that we are being led into. The leadership is leading us down a pathway that is very dangerous for all of us. In studying Ravana, we can do that. I hope we have time to study that to that extent. But today, all I want to say is that Ravana, special character. The 10-headed Ravana is born to, like I mentioned, to Vishravas. Vishravas got married to Sumali. And she gave word to her father. Her father actually had an intention that if I get a Rakshashi daughter of mine married to a Brahmana, then I may get a very beautiful grand child. Beautiful in the sense the issue will be he will have the powers of a Rakshashi and the piety of a Brahmana. You see, eugenics, how to engineer a good birth, is most people who want to perpetuate and perpetrate a race and type of thinking and philosophy and all that, think of that. The Muslims think a lot about it. They do it in a particular way and they have gained because of that. Hitler did something like that. He did something wrong. He put all the Jews to death. Even Prabhupada is known to have said that, yes, it's a good combination to have Indian women marry Western men. But he forbid that Indian men will marry Western women. He didn't like that combination. It's very interesting to me that Prabhupada planned the future. Eugenics means good birth. So he said, I will get my daughter can be married to a Brahmana. It will be very interesting. So that was his plan. And therefore he was looking for somebody. And in the process of his looking for somebody, he came across Vishravas. Vishravas is a very powerful sage and a Brahmana performing austerities. And something, I don't know the details of it. There was a lot of manipulation and other things would have definitely happened. All those things happened. And Vishravas was married to this, her name is Sumali, if I remember right. Ravana's wife's name. Sumali got, no, not Vishravas' wife's name. So he got her married like that. So, but Vishravas, who was a Brahmana and with great tejas, a sage, was, somehow convinced to do it. So he was not knowing all these ill intentions of the father of Sumali, that you were trying to increase the strength of the Rakshasa race by mixing with the Brahmanical class and producing a child for you who will be very powerful. You will see that this is a combination, very interesting combination. And many people have tried these type of things. In Vedic literature also it's mentioned, Anuloma marriage, Patiloma marriage, and all that. So I'm sorry, the wife's name is, Ravana's wife's name is Kaikashi. Father's name is Sumali. Father's name is Sumali, Kaikashi. Kaikashi got married to Vishravas, and she had 4 children. One was a daughter, Shurpanaka. One was Dasagriva or Ravana. Other one was Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. Kumbhakarna, Vibhishana, Ravana, and Surpanaka. 4 children, Kaikashi and Ravana had. And when this was the plan, when Vishravas understood, he became very angry. They are trying to have me produce out of me. It's a Rakshasha's plan, and this lady has been sent to me as a wife. When he came to know, he became very angry with her, and she fell down at his feet and said, "It's not my intention, it's my father's intention. I was forced to do it. I did not have any such intention to cheat you or do anything like that. It's their plan and everything. I'm just a poor lady." So he said, "Okay, you will have a very saintly son. Apart from these other sons, you will have a very saintly son." That has turned out to be Vibhishana. So everything has got a plan. Somehow or the other, it fits in very nicely when the Lord comes in to perform his pastimes. At the same time, people who have a plan of their own, apart from Krishna's plan, also gets entwined within the plan of the Lord. And the Lord and his devotees always become successful. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam shachamyaham. So you'll see this Ravana, he was a deadly product as per the intention. He had that Brahma Tejas and he had the Rakshasa quality. It's a mixture of both. That's why he was notably very powerful. It's a combination of certain things engineered by, Sumali through his daughter and Vishravas, unbeknownst to them. In India also, you will see that the Muslims like ladies who and all that. In Kerala, you know, all the Nambudris, Brahmanas got converted in the past to Muslim, so that forcefully they'll get high quality people inside their community. And a lot of those Nambudri Brahmanas are Muslims, and they used all their brains to do business and propagate Mohammedanism or Islamism. And they're pretty powerful, so powerful that the Hindus get overcome. So I'm just giving you examples of how this eugenics works and how it's planned. These are all strategies. So Ravana was that product. He was very, very powerful and highly ambitious, very, very proud, filled with false ego. At the same time, capable of executing everything that he plans to execute also. Terrorizing the entire creation. That is Ravana who came inside. And the highlight of his terrorizing was when he made the big mistake of abducting Sita, who was Ramachandra's wife. Then starts the real Ramayana. And then Bhagavatam describes it in a different way. It takes a different angle also. It speaks about what happens to one who becomes associated with a woman out of attachment. So if anybody who is attached to anything in this world will invariably suffer. For King Dasharath, 2 people he was very attached to is Kaikai and Ramachandra. Both of them gave him great pain. Ramachandra was highly affectionate, everything. But it was Ramachandra that she wanted banned to the forest. And Kaikai was his favorite wife. Every day he'd come to her chambers and meet with her. So both of the people whom he invested in the most gave him the greatest trouble. This is the formula of the material world. Whatever you're attached to most, beware, that thing or that person will definitely be instrumental in giving you the greatest pain. Why? Because you have investment. Only when you have that type of investment in Maya, Maya can trouble you. Our position in this world is we are having a stake, we have attachment to matter. Therefore, Maya can control you. You like this, no? Very good. Here, come and try to take it. I'll hold it tight and say, no, no, you take this means you have to do this for me. I'll give this to you, but this quid pro quo. You have to run the material world for me and do the following. They become instruments of Maya. And you will suffer because of that. So, whenever a person is attached to anybody or anything, you can be sure. Another way of looking at this, if you have to, your karma has to take effect, it will mostly take effect through the people whom you are very much associated with, your family members. They have all come back to you because they are all people whom you have invested in the past. That's your karma. So they'll be born as your father, mother, or your child, or your wife, or your husband, or anybody. All these people are known to you from the past and you have association with them. And through them only can you get your karma. It is very interesting how it gets weaves out. So Bhagavatam tells us, it points out that Ramachandra was very attached to Sita. And by performing this pastime, he has shown us that what happens to a man who gets too attached to his woman, how much he will suffer. So Ramachandra apparently suffered. Of course, the Supreme Lord is not suffering, he's playing a leela. But he wants to show human beings. Went through tremendous suffering being separated from Sita. And his feelings are all expressed in the Ramayana. Of course, people relate with it in a different way and learn some other lesson from it. Bhagavatam gives us the real lesson, says don't get attached. It's not that you should be attached like that and suffer like that. Some people explain Ramayana in the wrong way. And people become more attached and more materialistic and more Hinduistic and more that, this, everything together. But the point of Ramayana is don't get attached. And that's what Ramachandra is showing, because even Ramachandra suffered it. Ravana came and took away Sita. He suffered so much. Finally, he gets back Sita, and then there is public, and then he's going to be the king, and he's a prince, everything. So he has to be ideal in character. He put her to Agni Pariksha. Sita suffered for that. Already she has suffered so much, she suffered that. After Agni Pariksha, he accepts her, and everybody watches it. Even after that, the washerman says that he hears the washerman saying, you think I'm Ramachandra? You stay in somebody's house for so long, I'll accept you? I am not like him. That hurt him so much. Again, he sends Sita away to the forest. Lakshmana has the thankless job of going and putting Sita in Valmiki's ashram and coming back empty chariot. And then she remains separated from Ramachandra, and Lavakusha born to her. And Valmiki raises them. It's amazing that in Valmiki's ashram is a pregnant lady. He's giving shelter to her. So it's perfectly safe for Sita. Ramachandra knew. In this way, the story unfolds. Misery is inevitable. Suffering is optional. In this world, even the Lord suffers misery when he comes here, apparently. But suffering is optional means if you take up Krishna consciousness, you understand the real meaning of Ramayana, you won't suffer. You won't suffer. The suffering cannot affect you. Because like I mentioned, you don't have a stake in the material world. Your stakes are taken away from the material world and deposited and invested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and a relationship with Him. So there's no connection. Even if so-called situations you're put into, it doesn't affect you. The anesthesia of love of Godhead actually is experienced by you. So welcome to Ramayana. I'm just giving you an overview and a little touch up here and there. We hope to be able to been interacting again more and discussing this beautiful story of Ramayana to enhance our devotion and our path in bhakti. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Guru Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Somebody has a question. Narada Muni converted dacoit Ratnakar to pure devotee. Why didn't he convert Ravana? Because Ravana never counteracted him, never had a discussion like that. And there is another aspect. You can't change the story of Ramayana. There's another plan for Ravana with Ramachandra. And Narada Muni knew it's going to unfold also in a particular way. So he didn't go and do this separate job of preaching to Ravana. He left it that the Lord will perform his pastime. Great devotees of the Lord know certain things about the Lord which others don't know. Similarly, he did not go and kill Kamsa, or he was very good friends with Kamsa, Narada Muni. He accelerated, you fool, you're going to die from the hands of so-and-so. He didn't tell him like a fool. He told him that, I heard, it seems that Krishna is the seventh child of this Vasudeva and Devaki and going to kill you. Better be careful, huh? He gave the news like that as his good friend. But he could see this fellow is a fool number one, demon number one, idiot. And he's going to get killed. But he kept very good relationship with Kamsa. So he knows that the Lord's pastime is that he will come and kill Kamsa personally. Similarly, Lord Ramachandra also, he knows about Lord Ramachandra also being the person who is going to kill Ravana, because it's got a deeper import and a deeper meaning to that, and the whole story, pastime of Ramachandra will actually take place. So devotees don't interfere with the pastime of the Lord and be ati prasanga, they say, no? Ati prasangi. Don't be too smart. Don't be more Catholic than the Pope, they will say in Christianity. Don't try to be more Catholic than the Pope. Don't try to be a greater Paramahamsa than your Guru, Prabhupada said. You simply do what I tell you to do. So sometimes we should not try to be helping the Lord in his pastime so much that it will change the pastime. That is not required. So Narada Muni knew all these limits and boundaries very well. So he kept good relationships with everybody. Even with Ravana, he had very good relationship. Dhira athira janapriyo priyakaro nirmat saro pujitau. Devotees like Narada Muni, who are so sweet, they are equally accepted by the demons and the devotees, and they remain very neutral. But they definitely favor the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they are favored by the Supreme Lord also. So there is a very nice equation, very nicely executed by pure devotees, with the intelligence given to them by Krishna. I hope that answers your question. Om Tat Sat. Since there are no other questions, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.